So have you just come in off the golf course, or you been at work? What's been going on?
Well, nowadays the golf course is work, right? No?
Almost average. I love it. You guys, I didn't realize, Keegan, but you've got quite a good voice for sports coverage.
Yeah,
Bit of
our
sarcasm.
dad was in radio, so I guess he passed it down to us.
How'd you find yourself doing that? It literally the business aspect. You're like, we got to make this tax deductible. How do we do that?
Yeah, so our grandpa Ralph got us into golf maybe about 2 years ago. So we sold our company December 16th, 2020, and we were just employees for a year or two, and I'm sure we'll get into some of the finer details of that acquisition throughout this recording. But we got into golf probably about 2 years ago, and with us, it was always, if we're going to do something, we're going to find a way to monetize it and at least make money from it. So the first year we actually were like going at it, enjoying it. And then, then the monetization came in.
I think
So
enjoying it is a loose term, by the way. Like definitely like going out there and just like hitting your head against the wall over and over and like why do we keep doing it? So
yeah,
I think it
Yeah.
honestly gave us the vein of like why to keep doing it in reality.
well, it was also a little new wrinkle. So Shopify, Facebook ads, the first several years doing the same exact thing every single day, and always getting to work with content creators. So for our little golf endeavor, we started a channel called Almost Average Golf, and it's just us out there messing around, doing silly voiceovers. We suck at golf, we enjoy it, but if we're going to be out there twice a week, we might as well find a way to monetize. And right now it's paying for itself, so we've got it kind of moving, and it's really just a way for us to keep our sanity. We're still doing the grind, Shopify, Facebook ads, the brand, the production, fulfillment, all of it. That's kind of our mental getaway.
So Corey, when you're out on the course, is he sledging you like he does on the for the content?
Well, I think the funnier part is like we just haven't got I haven't got a mic yet in my office. So I think once I get a mic, it'll be nice to reciprocate some of the nice things he said. So
So what
he gives me a lot of good content to mentally prepare for
yeah,
this.
so what he just said is we're capable of building a $120 million brand, and he's incapable of buying a microphone and putting it on his computer desk.
Yeah. Well, I mean, lately it's
Great.
I've got to learn the struggles of just I feel like modern technology, even working inside tech. I got Call of Duty for the first time, and I actually potentially might be the worst gamer in the history of gaming. So I guess our next channel could be that. You never know.
Sounds like you need an assistant, really. She should be organising that for you.
Man. Well, we've got one, but we actually don't. I don't even know where he's at. So
Oh, there
he's
you go.
yeah. The younger brother's running around somewhere. They're actually building a simulator in our office here. So we're back in our original facility. Of course, we sold the company in 2020, built a whole new facility, and then in a great decision from some of the private equity guys, they signed both leases. So we had like 70,000 square feet, and one of them actually sat vacant. So found a way to make some moves, and now we're actually back in our original home where we kind of started all this.
Yeah, I've got a mate here on the coast that has like a virtual driving range where he's got the virtual stuff and he's got like an indoor driving range as well. So, have you? Would you venture down that path with it, where you make it more of a membership sort of thing and have
And
lots
then
of
then
people in
you're
there, or just yourself?
that's adding the variable of more people in here, and more people, more problems, right? I like e-commerce. It's a simple, not less face-to-face interaction because the customer complaints get real when there's somebody standing in front of you.
Yeah, for sure. So, how do you like being out on the course? My dad used to always say it's a good walk spoiled, and I've recently taken it up after being motivated by you guys as well. I want to get over there and knock it around the course
Absolutely.
with you when I come over. But how do you find that initial when you got started? Like trying to get that ball to go straight is ridiculous.
So we're about 2 years in now, and we still haven't figured out how to get it to go straight. we can get it to go less that way, but it's still going very much that way.
I think it's just like anything. If you practice it and put a lot of focus and time in, and listen, we do. But I think we're practicing bad habits. So just similar to business, like if you do something asinine over and over again, it probably won't work, and you'll get the same output. Well, just like in business, golf is the exact same way because we practice shitty and play shitty. So maybe just more like really detailed focus. Maybe instead of buying a bunch of the shirts and the clubs, maybe lessons, or
Yeah, good idea. Yeah.
or maybe
So
not.
I actually got a couple of lessons when I first. It was for Father's Day. I got lessons from the kids, and it was literally the day before Father's Day, the following year, that I was like, "Holy moly, I need to actually book them." So I went in, got the lessons. I was like, "This is actually really fun." And
Oh,
I think
absolutely.
I organised to get the clubs like the following week or whatever. And but part of that reason was being behind a desk all day. It sort of forces you to get outside. And I was like, if I'm doing this, I want to make it a tax deduction as well. I haven't found that space yet, but I really want to connect with other people in business and that are actually getting after it. So that's my motivation for doing it. So what was there a motivation similar to that for you to actually start it, or is just like your uncle?
Yeah, I wouldn't say there's really a motivation outside of it to start it. It was kind of if we're going to be doing this anyway, and looking in our own social media feeds, what do we see? We see a lot of golf videos, whether it's tutorials, voiceovers, tips, vlogs, like kind of random stuff. We just figured let's do something fun just to break up the monotony of what we do every single day. And we played for about a year before we figured let's try to do some sort of content based around it. But really all it is at this point is kind of a release from the day-to-day that, the grind that I'm talking about, the Shopify, Facebook ads, e-commerce as a whole, print on demand. I would say we...
You hit all the buzzwords right there, by the way. That was nice.
Yeah, I mean, that was my goal. I didn't mention AI, but that was right around the corner. Yeah, it was just a nice way to kind of get out of the office, do a little something to stay active. And our grandpa got us into it, and we've kind of been hooked. It's weird because in business, you can make changes and tweaks and almost get immediate feedback. And I would probably say golf is roughly about the
Very
same,
similar.
but it's way more frustrating because we suck. So.
But the wins,
If you hold that club slightly wrong, that's the immediate feedback you get because you end up on another bloody fairway.
well,
Or
that
the
or you
apartment
just,
complex near the driving range.
you just said that wasn't your ball. Just you got to keep the handball speed to the pocket quick. Drop another
Yeah.
one, forget it happened.
How did you how have you monetized it?
Well, right now you've got Facebook Reels, you've got Instagram Reels, you've got TikTok Shop, you've got all these different things. It's got a Shopify store, and it's got a pretty big following now. I mean, it started from zero. I think we're up to like 100,000 followers across a handful of channels. Have a big group with 300,000 followers in there, and it's I think it's relatable content. It's just like what we've done with e-commerce, right? We found a niche, so to say, and kind of just luckily for us, is a niche we're interested in, versus the business side where we sell things that necessarily we're not interested in from a day-to-day standpoint. But right now it's covering itself. We're members at a private club. That was one thing that here in North Carolina after COVID, it was pretty wild that just the public courses got packed. You couldn't move. There's a tee time every 6 minutes. So joining a private club allows you to kind of be out there and practice and not have to worry about somebody right up your neck, and you hit a bad shot, literally not worried about it. You can go hit another one. So that was a big thing for us. Yeah, sometimes that.
Yeah, and then golf merchandise is no different than selling golf hats is the same as selling tumblers, t-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, all that good stuff. So it's pretty much just applying the same things, whether you're selling to nurses or teachers. It's just to people that are interested in golf.
Yeah, it's a big niche. It's a growing niche. Since 2020, it blew up. I feel like, if you're playing now, we're playing now. And I don't know if this is just something we're supposed to do. Like you hit like your mid 30s and you're like, you just get a golf club. I'm assuming
I
that's
think
what
it's
we're
the
supposed to
80s
do.
babies. It's all
I
those
think,
80s babies coming through,
yeah,
and it's like, what do we do now? Can't
we
play
play
football
golf.
anymore. Yeah,
Hmm.
golf. So are you like got polos, hats? What sort of stuff are you selling
Yeah,
with
we
Almost
pretty
Average?
much anything print on demand you can think about. We took the same philosophies and the same stuff that we've got here at Blue Pack, and you know, polos, hats, t-shirts. I mean, basic
Golf
stuff.
balls. We work with a lot of different golf influencers as well. So that's how we kind of infiltrated, I would say, the golf world was by taking on golf clients. So we have Piper Lou, our Shopify brand, but then on the side, Blue Pack Marketing runs, different Shopify and TikTok shops for those influencers. So I think right now we have like 5 or 6 different, pretty large golf creators under our umbrella. And that's kind of what, we thought would be fun. And it's been a really nice way of kind of revitalizing after doing the same thing for years and years. It's added a new kind of fun vein to mess around with.
Yeah, sweet. So you've got the same team working on the products for Almost Average, or is it more
Yeah,
just you
and
guys?
almost average is more content based, whereas we could have a physical presence with merchandise. We've done some drops and stuff like that,
I think it'll come too.
but more of our focus for that has been on the content side. But I wouldn't say it's necessarily been a large focus. We go out there, we hit it around, we have fun, but at the end of the day, our normal gig is still like 98% of it, and we just have we have a really talented editor that puts everything together and makes it very low touch point. So all we have to do is drop some voiceovers on, and boom, it's kind of handled. It's
Yeah,
very streamlined.
it's very very good. Like I started following it, and it's funny. Like when I first jumped on there, and I don't do this because I'm very mindful of the time that I spend on social media. It's very much intent based. But when I listening to you sledging your brothers, it's good quality. So you do a good job on that, and the fact that you've got the shot trace and all that kind of stuff. So it's very visual and but yeah,
Thank you.
I would hate to be on the course with you. Put it that way. I'd be
Oh,
taking off my
trust
game.
me, that what doesn't make the the different videos we're posting on TikTok and Instagram, I'll send you some of those.
Yeah,
You can
cool.
do your own commentary for them.
Yeah. Okay. So you mentioned a very big number before about the size of the company that you can build, and that's far bigger than I'd ever imagined what it was. So you mentioned 120 mil. You can build a $120 million company, but you can't play golf. What was it? I don't know what the comparison
Oh,
was.
that was he couldn't plug in a microphone to do
Yeah,
the voiceovers,
Oh,
which
that's
is
right. Yes,
correct.
yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
and
So going
specific.
back to that, yeah. So going back to that, the company. So because we first met way back in the Teespring days, you and I, Keegan, and you sort of took to it and exploded almost immediately from outside looking in. How did you discover print on demand? Like, what were you doing at that time that came on your radar, and you're like, I need to give that a go?
Yeah, so I owned a Chicago sports blog, shycitysports.com, and I actually still own and operate it today. It it does well. It's essentially news on the Bears, Bulls, Cubs, White Sox, Chicago teams with writers and bloggers and whatnot. And back in the day, I was looking for a way to monetize because I wanted to make more money outside of just the ads. And at the time, I was making $8 an hour working at the mall at a sports store. And I thought, well, what if I try to get the users on my website to buy a logo shirt? So we put the Shy City logo on a shirt, put it on Teespring. And back then, you needed 10 sales for it to tip. And once it tips, it goes to production and you actually get paid out on those sales. If it didn't hit 10, it didn't go to production and everybody got refunded and you make zero. So I think the first one I launched did 8 sales, didn't tip, everybody got refunded, and I was like, shit, that's not good. So then I thought, well, I have all these Chicago fans. What if I did like a design that someone from Chicago or like Chicago sports teams could resonate with? So I did a silly little phrase for Chicago Bulls fans that outside of the bounds of copyright, I mean, I probably wouldn't try to litigate with them over it, but it was one of those that maybe pushed the boundaries back then. It wasn't a direct logo ripoff or anything, but it was a silly little saying about Derrick Rose. And I think it sold like 430 units, which then I did another one and it sold like 800 units. And I was literally making my monthly salary, in 1 or 2 days. So it very quickly turned into, I need to hurry up and quit my job at the mall. And kind of funny story, the people at the mall were like, Keegan, we really need you. What's it going to take for you to stay? And in my dumb mind, even though I'm making thousands of dollars a day, I said, $12 an hour gets me to stay. And they said, Keegan, it was nice knowing you. Best of luck on your endeavors. So that extra $4 is what completely pushed me into doing print on demand full on. And for about the first year, I kind of operated with myself and started making good money. And it really got to that point of like I'm kind of scared it was that level of money. And Corey came on to help me just run the books and my taxes at first. And then that quickly turned into hey, if we actually go 50-50, if you're doing X, we could do 10X.
Amazing. Do you remember that first shirt that you came up with?
Yeah, it was Derrick Rose, and it said Rose before hose. And I think, the saying was bros before hose. So we just put.
It's still the same.
Yep, still the saying.
Not in Chicago. So that's epic. So you'd found Teespring at that stage, obviously, like trying to fulfill 1,100 shirts would be a nightmare trying to do that by yourself. So with that blog, were you writing the articles, or you had other people helping you write those articles at the time? Like,
It was a combination. Back then, I used to do a lot of the articles myself, and then it quickly transitioned. Say what?
Shit talking the players.
I mean, it's Chicago, so yeah. I mean,
Had a lot of body of work.
Yep, Chicago and New York is very synonymous with aggressive media. So yeah, our team sucked, and we definitely talked shit about them.
Yeah, nice. Which is why it would have grown like it does, or did, and why almost average is growing as well. So you were writing these articles, and obviously you must have, like you said, you wanted to put a logo on the shirt. Was that something that you had thought about before, seeing print on demand and Teespring actually being able to do that for you, and printing and stuff?
No, and honestly, from an origin story standpoint, I honestly don't remember how exactly I found it or what the progression from, all right, the logo shirt didn't work, let me try out this next one. I do recall stumbling across Ty Hull's Facebook group, which I would probably give a lot of credit for where we are today to Ty specifically and that group. For anybody watching that's not aware, Ty Hull's had kind of I would say it was like a mastermind community type deal, but it was free. That would teach people how to sell on print on demand. Well, back then it was just selling shirts. It wasn't POD because there was an entire vendor kind of in the way. But yeah, just overall, we started selling more. And it's like the more that we sold, we started thinking if we took over the supply chain, we could unlock an additional 20 to 30 margin points. And then that's where we started buying machines, shipping our own shirts. And then it came into, how can we sell on things more than shirts?
When you say points, is that like dollars, percentage?
Points in margin. Just understanding that 10% points, percent's all the same thing. If you're talking to bankers, private equity guys, just an easy calculation, something to help.
Yep, percentage.
Yeah, nice. Okay, so you had how long were you on Teespring for?
2000 till 2015, and Teespring actually led to a pretty wild relationship of him just selling Chicago stuff on Teespring to actually getting completely away from the gray area stuff and jumping into every niche that you can think of, from grandmas to cats to wine to states to softball to everything, right? And then it was pretty cool. We got a call one day and Keegan had been doing some training stuff. They said, hey, we've got some campaigns with some pretty big creators. Would you be interested? So we said, yeah, absolutely. And we get on and we're talking with like Scooter Braun's people and Britney Spears and, Martin Garrix did a campaign with Fuck Cancer, where we actually didn't take any profit at all, even though they were trying to pay us. And, one of the craziest stories of our lifetime, Martin Garrix brought us up on stage in Vegas and he's DJing a set and we're up there just two dudes who sell t-shirts. It was a wild and very quick ride.
Oh, it's insane. And that's the nature of the beast with ecom, right? Like you can go from zero to hero very, very quickly. So how did you, like when you saw Keegan making all this money selling shirts after working at the department store, what were your thoughts when he was talking to you about coming in?
Absolutely. The first thought was like, I didn't understand like copyright and trademark stuff. So my first thought was he's going to jail. So when I got in there and kind of saw, all right, well, they're not going to throw these guys in jail. They're going to slap you on the wrist and say, don't do it again. My second thought was like, it's math, right? So I came from a director level job. I was already making six figures. I saw what he was doing and I'm like, wow, the math on this could be exponential. And we sat there one day just drawing math, like literally the theory of horizontal scaling and vertical scaling. And we kind of laughed and chuckled and then we just did it. I mean, that's really what it was. It was, 10 at X. What is 100 at Y? Well, 100 at Y is, you got to bring on more designers and design time, and you need niches to sell into. So what are those niches, right? Write them all out. And it really was just one big, super basic math problem solving for X. And over the next 5 years, 2004, this is holy shit. 10 years ago today, I just realized that we created our business and the SS4 documents, and that's wild. I just thought about that. Yep.
Yeah, wow.
Pretty neat.
So that's
Happy anniversary.
That's so weird that I was just saying it out loud and I'm like, holy shit, it is, right there at that date in February. And 10 years later, it's funny, like it's the same thing. It's a big math problem. Facebook is a little more not as friendly as it was back in the day, but it's still a vein. It's a vein that, a lot of people may not look at, but it's still going to give you a decent return. You've got TikTok. Google still is Google. But it's funny. It's really the same business, just how you do it is different. It's, put an idea on a shirt that people resonate with, and you don't need 10 to buy it anymore, which is kind of cool. You only need one, so that's exciting.
Yeah, that's nice. So did you have a handful of niches that you were playing around with? Once you got out of the Bears, how did you just keep going and selling into the same ones, or you're always looking for new niches? Like the fact that you looked at it as a math problem is quite incredible, really, because that just tells you then that you just scale up and you'll make more money. So
yeah, I think it all started. We had a design that was like country girl love, and the L, I forget what the design components were, but each letter correlated with design element. So like if you're a country girl, it has a horseshoe and it has a saddle and it spells out the word love. So then when that one worked, we said, well, what if we did the same for, nurses?
Tennis,
so then
everything.
Yeah, we did nursing love, tennis love, and we did basically every single one you could do. Like if you could think of it, we did it. And that's how we saw, all right, we don't have to sell like sports stuff or gray area copyright. We could actually be successful selling to, literally anyone.
how'd you come up with the store? So Shopify, that's the Shopify store. So can you name it, or you want to keep that?
It's piperlou.com.
Yeah.
So how'd you come up with that and make that transition go, yep, we're starting this store now?
It's kind of funny because there wasn't a structured conversation. I think it was we were selling on Teespring. We wanted to start messing around with Shopify. And I don't remember a conversation about it, but Piper Lou's my niece, his daughter. And it just kind of happened. We just launched it.
Well, we had sold a brand on Shopify already. It says Strut and Cotton. It's kind of like a menswear Vineyard Vines style, but more kind of for the southern United States. We had grown that brand to like $3-4 million pretty quickly. And our distributor was actually the dirt to shirt owner. So he owned the field, the fabrication, the mill, the everything. And he loved the idea because he was getting it literally out of the ground and turning it into clothing, right? Made in America. And his idea was, I don't need e-commerce per se, which was wild, but I respect it. He's like, we have relationships with stores all over the country. We can sell wholesale and we'll be so happy with that. We'd like to buy the company. They made an offer and we're like, it's not for sale. Took the offer in. We're like, never mind. So we had sold that
What was the
company.
offer?
It was a six-figure offer to literally a Shopify store that we'd propped up, had no debt, had no nothing. And
It was very inventory based, like 100% inventory, which is not something we were comfortable with or happy. It was a viable, business, but also we were very much wanting to be in print on demand, and we weren't necessarily wanting to fulfill our own orders. So
which we did.
yeah, we used to. So the second we were able to get out of it, we got out of it.
Yeah, and it was a men's line. So with Piper Lou's a whole different demographic. It's a female line, but it's not when we started the brand, it's nowhere near like what it is today, which is a brand with over 2 million orders. I mean, that's mind-boggling to say out loud, but it's a female demo, 25 to 55. It's got everything you could think that we sold on Teespring, every niche. It's got something for everyone. And of course, we started with apparel, doing print on demand. And then quickly we learned that, we're good marketers, we're good brand guys. But the print on demand side, like you needed to bring in an expert. So we brought in an expert that knew that side of the business and our production partners in-house. And that's when I think the unlock happened. Kind of like staying in your lane. We know how to run business. We know how to run business at scale. But we needed a subject matter expert to kind of come in and say, let me be the lead. I'll make sure the orders are out, in the SLA, but you guys focus on what you're doing. I'll handle digital printing, screen printing, all that stuff. And it blossomed. It went from $300,000 in a couple months to, I think the first full year, 2017, was like a $6 million year. So
Wow.
it was on a chart. It's wild.
When you first started Piper Lou, did you have a product in mind that you were specifically focused on? Did you stay with shirts?
Just
One
t-shirts,
niche, or?
print on demand t-shirts. I wouldn't say even a niche. Like we kind of what we sold on Teespring was the theory of like, can we do what we did with Strut and Cotton? We didn't build it to sell it by any means, but you want to build a sellable asset, even if you have no intentions to sell it, because it needs to operate smoothly. Like anyone should be able to come in and understand what's going on. So it was the same thing, same concept of.
Well, very, very quickly, we saw that we could just take these Teespring concepts, sell them on Piper Lou, have branding so people understand that it's, there's continuity. They can order multiple times. They can receive email marketing.
Own the data too.
Yeah, so Teespring owned the data, but on Shopify, we own the data. So we could market to those people multiple times, actually set up and create a funnel so that we could remarket to them again. And I've always thought that you don't get rich selling something to somebody one time. You get rich on their 6th, 7th, 8th, 15th orders. And if you can create a shitload of those people, then you're going to make a shitload of money.
And you have. So good job.
Correct.
That you proved that theory right. So good on you. Do you remember the first campaigns that you put on Piper Lou?
Oh, I'm sure the first campaigns were probably terrible.
Yeah, so I remember our first launch was, it was actually very specifically tailored towards like the Southern country girl niche because like I said, we found success doing country girl love. So as we were selling it on Teespring, we thought, let's just plop it over on Piper Lou and sell to, Shopify customers. And we very quickly saw, wow, it's...
Love the new Pixel too. The new Pixel was phenomenal. So
yeah, it's actually like it's working over here. So we said, all right, well, if the country stuff's working, let's not make it a country brand. Let's make it a everything brand. So that's where it turned from Piper Lou. It used to be piperloucollection.com, and we still own the URL, but we have it set up so there's like piperlou.com forwards to that one. But at first, collection, it had intent behind the word. because we had a collection for tennis, a collection for country girls, a collection for nurses and teachers and moms and whatever. And over time, it just kind of turned into, well, Piper Lou collection was very wordy on every single item. So what we did was we dropped collection and just branded things with Piper Lou.
Well, the brand took off too in its own, which is kind of wild. Seeing, like Keegan said, the consumer that buys one thing doesn't make you, rich. The consumer that buys 15 to 20 times, which we've got multiple customers that are in the 30 to 40, which is, I can't thank them enough. I mean, they are what built that brand and made it so that collection could kind of drop off, because now you see Piper Lou, I see it every day out in public, which is pretty wild to see that. With Teespring, we'd see a shirt or two, if you go to Disney or somewhere like that. But nowadays, I feel like you can go out here in North Carolina, you can go out in Florida, you can go to New York, and like you will most likely see something out and about, which is kind of wild.
Well, and then our mind is, I think we've always been very good at stretching stuff out. So, it worked on t-shirts. Let's put it on a hat. Let's put it on a tumbler. Because there's certain people out there that, for me, for the most part, I have a collared shirt on. I'm wearing a polo right now. If you were to display a t-shirt to me in my newsfeed, I'm going to scroll past it. I'm not interested in buying that at all. If you put that same design on a polo, you've piqued my interest. You put that same thing on a tumbler, all right, I'm listening. But if you show it to me on a product I don't give a shit about, I'm just going to keep on scrolling. So I think where we found success is, all right, we have this really good design for Country Girl Love, and I'll reference that throughout this call, is it worked on a t-shirt, it worked on a tank. Now it's November, let's put it on a hoodie and a sweatshirt. Let's put it on a coffee mug and a tumbler, and that same design can be stretched out to 15 to 20 different internalized campaigns in our minds, because that's really all it is. You're marketing. When you're selling the hoodie, you can be very general to sell it to somebody that is just into country or southern or hunting or fishing or whatever. But now when you put it on a coffee mug, you get to intersect those interests on Facebook ads, where you can target coffee and then narrow it down by country-specific interests.
Well, even to take that idea to another level for anybody listening to this is a good tip, where I feel like we've talked about it for 10 years, but everyone always takes it and goes, shit, I should do this more. But literally use remove.bg, pull the background out of it, and now put the city of Dallas, target it in Dallas. Put the, if it's a quarter horse interest, put an actual quarter horse in the background, something that's going to make the subliminal stop during a scroll. So like, it's something that even as I say it, I know that I don't do it enough. And we all probably don't, of stretching something truly fully to its full and extent of marketing. But if you're a nurse, I can show you this mom runs on coffee, and I don't have to show you a nursing design. I can show you, there's a hospital floor in the background, something to make your head kind of stop and go, whoa, what's that?
It's something that it improves the CTR, the click-through rate, and then essentially makes your advertising more effective, which increases your profitability, increases the money that you take home to the bottom line.
Well, it also allows you to market something that's general to every single niche in the world without having to. World's greatest mom, nursing in the background, firefighting in the background, farmer in the background, Facebook.
Mom's a firefighter?
She didn't tell you? Weird. But think about that. It allows you to take general... You can take a general design and stretch it a million miles. And then, good Lord, you can take it in different languages. I mean, Country Girl Love, in theory, we've probably still got 70% of that squeeze that we've not even utilized yet, that's still out there. So if you're sitting on a bunch of older designs or older concepts, like, take 5 minutes and just think about it.
How do you come up with new designs? Like new sayings and phrases and stuff?
Well, your customers are going to do it for you roughly every single time. Look in your comments. You'll have a comment that has 80 likes on it. That's most likely a design.
Yeah, another thing you can do is go to Pinterest and just search, country girl, and then scroll down, the giant sea of imaging. And if you see something that's been repinned one time, the engagement's dog shit, and you're not interested, nobody else is interested. But if you see something that's been repinned 50,000 times and it's a quote or a saying, retool that into a specific design that can go on a shirt, condensed the lettering and words that where it could go on a hat or a tumbler, and now you could actually turn that into something that's usable.
Yeah, nice. So who, do you still do research? Do you still see, things out in the wild that you're like, I could turn that into something that's going to make a lot
Absolutely,
of money?
every day.
Yeah, now with TikTok, it's more so like before it used to be, all right, how can I turn this visual meme into, something I can put on a shirt? But with TikTok, it's how can I take this verbiage or this phrase, and there's new phrases that pop up, every so often, or, new ways that people communicate. Looking at some of those TikToks and spinning those into usable designs. And sometimes, honestly, you could take Country Girl Love or whatever designs that you may have and just use the TikTok audio to sell it. And technically, the audio could have nothing to do with the actual shirt that you're selling.
Yeah. Yeah, wow. So do you still get involved do you have a team that comes up with phrases as well, or do you guys lead that yourself? Like, have you put that
It's
trust in
kind of
other people?
It's become a catch-all. Customers will request custom designs. Occasionally, we'll see a funny meme, and we'll retool it to be a design. Generally, we could probably get by without launching a single phrase, for a year or two before we even need to think of something new. But that's only because we have the luxury that we have 20,000 designs. If I was a mom or a dad, like trying to do this on the side, how would I go about that? I think you wouldn't have that same luxury that, an established brand owner has. I think you would probably have to do some of your own research on some of the new phrases that would make sense, whether it's something regarding, the craziness of Taylor Swift being a football fan now, or whatever that is, something pop culture related or new enough that, it's not outdated. So I do think you would have to do a little bit of research if you didn't have the luxury of having that many designs at your disposal.
So if you were starting again today, like you didn't have the well, I'm not going to say track record, but if you had to start from zero, what would you be doing?
I think I would probably use TikTok specifically,
Yeah.
and it depends what you're into. So I think the easiest way to break into, our world and, making the money that you want to make, whether it's on a crazy level or if it's just some money on the side as a side hustle, is you have to look at what you enjoy. So I personally enjoy golf. So what I would do is I would create a TikTok, whether you might already have one, and follow 20 or 30 different golf creators.
See what's out there.
See what's out there, see how they speak, see what they wear, what they communicate, the type of words they use, how they phrase things, and then slap it on a shirt and run some ads and target golf. It's literally that easy.
Well, also the TikTok shop has a live feature. The live selling feature is, just go on the app, go up in the left corner, go live, and look at how many people are selling live. Everyone, the ability to generate commerce right now through TikTok shop, just going live is incredibly. There's no barrier to entry really. Like get it up, and as long now you got to deliver the product. So for all. I know some at ecom, how they like to act. So, but for the most part, if you're delivering a product and it's what the product is, like there's an opportunity to go make something. If it's 10 or if it's 10,000, that's up to you.
Yeah, wow. So how long before, like when you're running Piper Lou, before, I've seen you working with celebrities, that kind of thing, and I think that's one conversation, but then like you're starting to get tapped on the shoulder about being acquired too. So that it's a wild ride that you guys have been through to be able to pique the curiosity of celebrities first and foremost, but also have the validation from bigger businesses that you're a real business that we want to acquire. So with the celebrities, who have you been working with, or who have you worked with over the years?
We've worked with everyone that you can probably think of. We can start with Britney Spears, Steph Curry, Mike Tyson. Politically, we've worked on both sides of the fence. We've worked with, let's see, who's a big one.
Donald Trump Jr., we've run his stuff before.
We've been guests at Mar-a-Lago. Once again, that was another very eye-opening, we're a guest of a president and we sell T-shirts. that was very eye-opening and exciting.
Yeah, and we've honestly pivoted a large part of our client business. What we used to do is, let them know, hey, Keegan and Corey Rush, we run Blue Pack Marketing. We also own a brand where we've been very successful. We think you could be successful if you did some of the strategies and stuff that we do. We'd love to work with you. And
we're not gonna test with your money. We're gonna be the guinea pig to make sure that like we're bringing you a superior experience. That was a great selling point. It should be a great selling point for anybody. Don't let someone, really anybody test with your money. Like they need to prove it to you. And I think that's what we did.
Yeah, so we worked with, some of those names, political figures, UFC fighters, and here recently we pivoted a large part of our business towards not only ourselves selling on TikTok through Piper Lou, but also a lot of our clients. So it could be anybody with 300,000 followers all the way to 15 million followers. We'll kind of throw the lines out in the water on people that are engaging and funny and that we think can sell. I would rather work with somebody with 1 million followers that has engaging content that can sell versus somebody with 50 million followers and doesn't know how to sell.
Or doesn't have the time.
Yeah. It's really about the time, having an engaging client. So for us, we're already running Piper Lou that has a team of graphic designers, administrative people, customer service. For us to onboard a client, it's almost, we're already doing that for Piper Lou. For us to do it that much more for a client isn't that difficult. Where myself and Corey find a lot of our time within the business is working either on the business or scaling the ads. As far as uploading products, designing them, getting them on the store, getting the store approved, that we have a team for and they crush it. So it kind of leaves us to kind of free range, do what we think we're best at.
Do you have a media buying team now, or do you still get involved with running ads?
I feel like it's an open-ended question because we've got people that buy media, but at the same point, we also buy media still. I think
it's always been a weird one because we've had agencies, we've had freelancers, and I don't know if it's just because we're that good at it, which sounds almost cocky. We've yet to have somebody outperform us. Now, there's times where we could go to somebody else's brand
and do the same thing.
And do the same thing where we can't outperform them. So I think there is a little bit of when it's yours, you just know.
Ownership bias, it's a real thing. I mean, it's your baby.
You've got pretty solid proof behind you that you do a very good job. So
yeah, but like Keegan said, like it does happen. Like you'll have a rock star agency that's very well respected, and we've even had it. You go onto a brand, you just can't quite figure out within the CPA that they want, and sometimes it's just not a great fit. And the owners always can do it better. But then I'm sure there's an agency out there that's kicking ass right now. We just don't know who they are.
Yeah, and it takes a long time to sift through. The onboarding process with all the different guys, and then like that, time's finite. So you can't.
Yeah, it varies. So there was a time where we were working with some very big, prominent names, like awesome celebrities, where you get to rub elbows with them, and it's one of the coolest things ever. But also, we're finding just as much success, with people with hundreds of thousands of followers on TikTok because they're engaged. So I think a lot of where our world in e-commerce is kind of trending is towards more content based things versus, it's just this person and they're famous, but if they're not posting engaging content, getting behind it, it's likely not going to sell. And for us, we don't want to waste time on kind of a one-pop shop. We would rather work with somebody that's willing to kind of not necessarily put in the work, but they have to put some level of a foot forward. And we're seeing that more significantly on the TikTok side because it is a more engaging platform that you kind of have to stay on top of for the trends to, just do normal TikToks, I guess.
Yeah. It is incredible the way that people can blow up over there. So Justin Danger Nutley, is that his name? That comedian dude, hilarious. You guys have done some worked with him, haven't you?
Yeah, he's just as funny in real life too. Like that's not an act.
Yeah, and I would say that's a kind of a testament to his work ethic. He's a great client, but you can see he posts engaging content multiple times a day. So if you're going to be a brand or you're going to work with a client, that it needs to be engaging. And if it's not going to be engaging, if they're not funny, if there's not some level of specialty around the content, then people are just going to scroll on by.
You're shooting into the ether in theory.
You know who I found incredible, like as much on the content front as in the business side of things, is Connor Price, like with his music and his like the editing. Do you know who he is?
I've seen it before. Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of his content, like the music that he puts together, like he was an actor, and his wife Brianna was big into content with other big companies as well, and they came together, and he was doing music on the side and just putting these really catchy tunes together. And now, like you look at his feed, it's like this very quick skits, like of him coming up with these phrases, like collabing with people all around the world. And pretty much every video that he hits goes viral based on this music. But where it's incredible is that he's not signed with an agency in terms of like music production. So he's got no one that he's putting out massive checks to. It's all for them. So they put it up on Spotify and they are raking it in, like absolutely killing it within like a couple of years of actually starting and doubling down on the passion. So, and that's where I think it's amazing, this entrepreneurial space that we're living in this day and age, where you have an idea, you put it out there, and almost, instantly it can be monetized, and you're making money off something that you're passionate about and sharing what that passion is with the audience. So I think
and that's why I mentioned earlier, for somebody just getting into this, it's hard to teach maybe a mom with two younger kids how to sell tennis shirts if she's not into tennis. I think that it's a barrier to entry detail. So if she's into pickleball or golf and she doesn't play tennis, we'll sell something golf related. That would make sense. And then once you understand how to sell something you love, you should have enough data and information to sell something that maybe you don't give a shit about. And there's a lot of stuff that I literally don't know what it is, but I know we sell it. There's a horse racing thing. What's it called? Barrel racing. Yeah, we used to sell a bunch of barrel racing stuff. Apparently that's when you get on a horse and you run around on, you go around these little barrels. And that's a niche.
You would think that the barrel racing described exactly what it was doing, but
I mean, I know if you tell 10 people, hey, do you know what barrel racing is? They're not going to be able to put two and two together.
It's
for the audience.
I imagine I would have thought, given that your awareness, that you'd know what barrel racing is over there.
He knows.
Part of the rodeo circuit and PBR and all that kind of thing. No,
nope, I never knew.
No, jeez. Okay, it's amazing. So you've worked with celebrities. Great. You're rubbing shoulders with some interesting people. Who's the most interesting person that you've mucked around with?
Oh, easily Mike Tyson.
Yeah. We spent 3 days with Mike, yeah.
Easily, yeah. We actually went to a business meeting thinking it was a meeting, 20 minutes maybe with his manager. Maybe there's a small chance we get to meet him. And then it turned into like 1 or 2 days of hanging out with him. And then, when it was time to leave, it wasn't like a handshake. Mike Tyson hugged us goodbye. And I've never really been hugged goodbye by someone I just met. So yeah, it was a very cool thing. I mean, selling t-shirts led us to that situation, and yeah, it was a good old time.
That would be so surreal, because like we're of a similar age, where we're growing up in the 90s, and we're seeing Tyson at the top of the hill. Like, he was absolutely wild, incredible.
It's a 1% human being, somebody in that level of celebrity that everyone on the planet knows who this guy is. And he's done things.
How did you feel when you first got that call that you're like, oh, we could potentially be working with Tyson here?
We literally were on so it was during COVID when they had cut a lot of the commercial flights. And we literally, we knew that there was a chance we literally rented the first private jet we'd ever taken. I'd never seen one outside of like the fake influencers and stuff. Like, and I was like, I don't even know how to do this. And I found a way to do it. And we had a jet the next day, flew down there. And then we had to call the pilot and say, hey, like this is going to be expensive, but we need to stay another day. Mike has requested our attendance at an event.
Yeah, so it's interesting. You asked, what does a $120 million company do? That's our lifetime revenue that we've accrued. That's not profit. It's not what we do in one calendar year. So during COVID, Corey mentioned our first like full year. I think we started in like November of 2016 is when we first like truly started. We had set up the business documents, previously in January, like Corey mentioned, but for us to actually start scaling was in that November of 16, 300 grand the first year, and then it went up to 3 million, then 6 million, then like 13 million, and in 2020 COVID hit and we did like 36 million, like some stupid number, like all in 1 year. And then, there was probably a year of 20 and then 20 again. And now we're probably at a run rate around like 13 million, I want to say. But, on a graph, it's wild because it goes up and down and up and down. So it's not like we just get on here and say like, oh yeah, look at all these highs or, awesome things. Because even us,
it's like a stock chart almost. You have ebbs and flows, and economies change, buying patterns change, iOS changed for everybody.
Yeah, and I remember even with the team that we have now, we're very lean. It's a very lean team, and we're doing just as much in revenue, as we were doing when Piper Lou was doing 20 million with 5 times the amount of people. So we're very heavy. I would probably say it's like a 50-50 mix right now between Piper Lou and client revenues. So we could be anywhere, in that 20 to $30 million range, now. And I would say it's just a very streamlined process. Before we were doing a lot of work just to do work. And now I'd say we've gotten a lot more efficient and being very intentional with our time and how we spend it, how we're scaling ads, who's doing what. We're back in the day, I would almost say we used to create roles just to
create roles.
Yeah, we were doing work to do work. Luckily, it was a lot of revenue that we were doing, so it kind of masked the problem of we're wasting too much time trying to make different people work.
Sometimes people just don't work. Like sometimes roles don't work either. Like you don't have to have if you're a small business, like a payroll and benefits administrator, like whoever's running your payroll will probably just do that. Like it's pretty basic stuff. There's not certifications or laws, at least in the States, that you have to have. There's also different requirements for companies that are 50 employees. So like we were definitely falling victim of over just we were too quick to react with growth versus like taking a deep breath and going, hey, like show 3 months worth of growth and then maybe we need that person or need that app. Like we got really bad at just, get this. And, revenue's slow. And now I do think we've pivoted very well though, because now we're assessing all those things. And maybe it's age. Maybe age helped us there.
Oh, and maturity in running a business, I think. Like we have to go through these phases where, you're ironing out the wrinkles to make it as lean as possible. And that's the beauty of print on demand too, is just the nature of the business model is quite lean. So my belief, if you come at it from that angle, having originally found it like that, you always want to gravitate back towards that because there's a level of convenience with being lean, right?
Absolutely. It definitely it allows you to take more risks in the POD space, especially in a post iOS world where we're all testing, we're all trying to figure out what that ad model is these days. Back in the old days of just 2 ad sets with conversion, theory, like doesn't really exist anymore. You gotta be creative. You gotta find ways to stop the scroll and get people engaged to buy your product. So you're right. It's getting back to the basics for everybody, including us.
Yeah, wow. So when was the call that for being acquired? When that sort of come through?
It's a weird process because, we were approached by, someone that said, "Hey, I've got connections in private equity. What's the business like?" And we told them about the growth. And of course, on a chart, it looked like Bitcoin back in 2013, just straight up. And it was one of those things where we kind of knew, like, we didn't know if COVID, if it was a 3-year thing, a 2-year thing, like, would this growth be through 2025? We took the call, and the portfolio company that the private equity company had made sense. They were big in the promotional item space. They could drive down cost. It made sense to them because we could drive, units. The more units driven through them, the better unit economics for everybody. And we were like, all right, cool. And we took some pretty big calls. We've taken calls with Cantor Fitzgerald. We've taken calls with Helen of Troy. And to ever think that would happen, like, not just like random dudes who say they buy websites, which, listen, no offense to those dudes because they have their own business, but, we took big firms.
We also were the beneficiary of damn nearly perfect timing. So we had started taking those calls maybe a year before COVID. So as COVID was happening, we were still scaling, and a lot of our production was being held up. We probably could have done 10 times the amount of revenue during that period if we actually had the means to produce it and ship it.
Well, we had to spread apart. We had to get a whole third warehouse during that process.
Yeah, so during that time, we literally were able to sell it at its actual peak. I mean, maybe if we see that peak again with a lot of the stuff that we've been finding in the last, 6 months, who knows, maybe we can return to those peaks. But also, we're not like grinding our face off trying, to do $40 million in revenue. We're making a lot of money right now, and we're happy. We're hitting the golf course 2 days a week and spending tons of time with the family. And I would say, on the family dynamic,
way better.
Way better. My wife, my 2 sons, and I'll have a third son coming in a couple weeks.
Congrats.
I wouldn't, thank you. I mean, I definitely wouldn't trade that for anything. So I feel like from a run rate, like, I'm very comfortable at this level of business where I don't necessarily know if I'd want to be at $40 million a year. I mean, that probably sounds extremely privileged to be able to say that, but I know what comes with working for $40 million a year. And I don't know if mentally I want to return there. I mean, There's
167 employees.
Wow.
It opens you up to a lot of different stuff. When the acquisition happened, I think we were at 167 when we turned over and we sold the company in December. And then it was 169 because we were the next 2 employees, which was so weird working for Blue Pack Marketing.
Wow. That'd be a switch of gears. So, can you discuss how much you were acquired for?
It was I can't go into a lot of the detail, but I can just give you the on the paper. It was a $49 million deal at enterprise value.
Wow.
Yeah, it's
Which enterprise value meaning, if we hit all of our incentives, all of our performance bonuses.
It's a sports contract in theory for a good bit of it. But it was wild, like, when that paper came through to kind of see, like, wow, this happened. And trust me, there were times along that year of due diligence where I was like calling him, telling him, "Hey, fuck it, dude. I can't. I'm on calls till 11 o'clock at night with these bankers, and they're asking me questions."
Yeah, all in all, I don't necessarily know if it was the right fit. They were a little corporate. You also had to come down from the 2020 COVID numbers, which, weren't necessarily regular numbers.
Banks tightened a lot. With rates.
I would probably say we got a lot of cash up front. It was like probably a 30% of that we were able to actually get, which, to be able to get anything take, roughly, in our minds, a mental 1 to 2 year vacation. They essentially leased our company.
And then in November 2022, we got it back.
Yeah.
Insane.
Yeah, we're still trying to figure all of this out again.
Yeah, so an interesting kind of involvement was through our time and growth, we actually had a very close partner, Edge Promotions. Our buddies Nick and Ted ran the company. They were our vendor all throughout our growth, and they were actually acquired by that same company as well. So when it came time, they offered our company back. It came with 2 companies. So snap our fingers and boom, we're back to having 100 employees, which I don't think mentally we were kind of ready to do again. And we ran production for a year, and we just saw that this, we just want to focus on the marketing piece. We don't want to be production, as much as print on demand guys we are, we want to pass that to somebody who is, an expert in that realm. So we wound up selling them their company back, and now we're kind of back in
square one.
It's literally 2019 all over again, and we're back in the same building too.
Hopefully that not what's happened in 2020 happens with everything else. But the sales, I love the boom. But it's funny, we literally it was a BOGO. It was so fitting that we would get our company back in lieu of the money they owed us, and then get a company for free. But it did, like Keegan said, the most entertaining outcome is usually the one that's right under your nose, right? And we're literally back at square one now. We're running the marketing company again. We own the brands again. Nick owns the production again with Ted. And ironically enough, we're back in the building that it all started in too, which is even weirder. So,
yeah, love it. So how many hours a week you working, do you think now?
Still probably 30, 40. I mean, you're kind of, as an entrepreneur, you're always kind of working. So that's hard to say. In the office, 15, 20.
Yeah. That's
because on the course, that's now considered work.
Contact time in the office.
Yeah.
What's that?
Now the course is work technically, so probably 70.
Yeah. Enjoyable work. But I think this is part of the allure of working for yourself, right? It really doesn't feel like work. And to be able to quantify what you do as work, it's whenever I reference it, it's contact time in front of the screen where you're sitting down involved, because there are so many opportunities because you're connected with everything, and it's really a lifestyle. The whole business
versus the role, like a job, it is a lifestyle. That's a really good way to describe that.
So what do you I know you're into your wine, Corey. So where are you hanging out? Where are you eating food and drinking wine?
I guess I'm just a dude who likes what he likes, because I'm still drinking the same wine at the same places that we all went to, at Angus Barn, and Sullivan's, and Sullivan. We gotta give Sullivan's a shout out in Raleigh. We gotta bring you there next time. We've got a good relationship with those guys. They take good care of us, and we have celebrities in town. Absolutely, just A+ outside.
Yep, our guy Rob always takes care of us there.
Yeah, love it. So when you do decide to jump on a big steel bird for a long time and come down to Australia, Adelaide Hills, the wine down there is incredible.
I know all about Australian wine. It's that you guys have some really. I've had some. It's Penfolds, right? Penfolds, the big name out of Australia.
Yeah, they're down around Adelaide, but there's more, and I don't typically gravitate towards the Penfolds or the bigger brands in Australia, because they are that big mainstream, and they do a great job of what they're doing. But I've got a mate, and you might appreciate this, but I saw a bottle of rosé on the shelf one day, and the marketing on it, the branding rather, was just insane. It said, "Not your grandma's rosé." It was a bright pink. It was a white label with bright pink writing on it. I was like, "This is incredible. I'm just going to buy this because it's a cool name, cool branding." Yeah. Drank it. I was like, "That tastes amazing." And I sent him a message. I was like, "Congrats, man. This is so cool. You nailed everything on this." And that was probably 3-4 years ago. And we've kept in contact to the point that he's got is part of a boutique. It's a co-op sort of thing where there's about 5 or 6 different wineries involved with this one restaurant, and the food is insane. The wine is off the charts, but they're very mindful that they don't want to get too big, because they don't want to lose that touch of being out the vineyard and creating these amazing flavors. But yeah, that's to cool. See him to sit there and listen to the story of how they come up with the flavors and the thought and care and attention. And it's like business, right? And I think that's where the curiosity comes from, is you guys with your print on demand business, there's areas where you're just focused, and you know where to focus, bring out what you need to bring out to get the end result, which is incredible. So
and one thing on the print on demand that, if I could pass on a tip, is absolutely find a way to sell more than one. I would say a lot of our success is, it's a lot of revenue that we've been able to drive. And I would probably say the biggest part of that is because we've always encouraged group buys, bachelorette parties, girls' trips, Teachers Appreciation Week. How many teachers does your kid have? 5, 6? So if you can find a way, to sell more than one item, like encourage the group purchase. That's been absolutely massive for us. I remember when my son had some problems at his birth and we were in the NICU and we had like 5 or 6 NICU nurses. We did like a gift card and we got each of them like a custom tumbler with their name on it, which, if I was a paying customer, that's me buying 6 tumblers, boom, right there all at once. And just encouraging ways to do that, I think, has been really beneficial for us, because now you've got, not only have you made the sale, you have the higher amount of revenue, but now that one person has almost indoctrinated 5 of their friends into this brand, that now those 5 people are going to come back to the site and hopefully buy for their next girls trip, where there's 4 or 5 other girls. It's kind of like a word of mouth thing, the more
That's
touch,
exactly
the more touch points you can have, the better.
Yeah. It's smart, right? Like that's where I think Australia and America differs, is like you like to celebrate these groups and be it like, and almost express that you're part of that group, which is really cool. So, but guys, I know you're strapped for time, so I don't want to keep you exceptionally long. So that's an amazing parting piece of advice, that's for sure, for anybody in print on demand. But what's got you excited for the future? Like, are you still purely just focused on Piper Lou and that almost average golfer? Like, where do you see these brands going from here?
I think they're all going to find this new digital economy. I think TikTok has allowed us to unlock some different things. Like Keegan said, maybe we see that spike again. We don't know necessarily, and maybe Facebook gets its act together. It's a big audience, but I'd still say we're still grinding away. There's viral stuff going on every single day in these walls, and I do think we're at least taking a little deeper breaths these days versus having to run to the computer at 4 a.m. to go do it. And there's someone's doing that. And I'm excited that there's still those opportunities out there. But we're just kind of cranking along, man.
Yeah, next frontier, what I would say, is just deeper diving into TikTok. I think that's going to continue to be a very immersive part of just social media in general. It's becoming way more shoppable with TikTok shops. Our clients are doing very well on it. Piper Lou is still doing predominantly on just Facebook ads, Shopify, that kind of pipeline. We're trying to get more involved on the TikTok side, which, if you check the account out, you can kind of see our endeavors. The golf thing, we just do it to have fun. If it literally equates to $0, that's fine. We're just doing it to have fun and kind of just shoot the shit, have a good time.
Hey, everybody needs capital losses, right? And if it's a loss, it's a loss. So it'll balance everything out, kind of like it balances everything out in real life.
Are you doing many deals on the golf course? Are you sit out there with like
deers or
no,
beers?
No, you said deals.
Deals. Sorry.
Probably. I mean, I would say there's no better way to get to know somebody than being on the golf course with them. You got 4 uninterrupted hours, technically in nature,
without phones,
in a competitive spirit, where you're going to see, do they cheat or not? Like, are they enjoyable to be around? If they hit a bad shot, are they going to be a scumbag the next 2 hours and just be grumpy to be around? I would really say, like, it's a kind of there's no better way to get to know somebody, honestly.
You get to know Keegan loves slamming clubs. He's not a 2-hour anger, though. It's like a 2-hole.
Oh yeah, I'll launch my club 2 fairways over.
I don't think he means
it'll probably go further than the ball.
It will.
I know the frustration, particularly having just started. We've got this driving range, and I don't know why, but they've got like these nets between each of the little booths that you're in with these massive steel posts. So it's like they're sort of angled away, so if you hit it, it's just like veers off. But sometimes you hit it right, it comes back, and you're like, fuck. You hear the ding, and it's super loud, and it's like, boing.
That's where you immediately just look to the dude to your left and just be like, what was that?
Dude, get it.
Yeah, try blaming on somebody else.
Awesome, guys. Well, thank you. I always love talking to you. Like the both of you, you're just so you get me fired up. Like just what you've done over the years and what you continue to do, and the fact that both of you are so focused on family as well, is incredible. And just like congratulations on it all, first and foremost. I've been a fanboy since day one, Keegan, that we actually worked together. But to see you go on and be able to do what you've done together with your brother, like that was always my dream, to be working with my brother, on something that's successful, So you've nailed it, and I think it's
Appreciate it. There's another one. The younger brothers, Parker. We don't give him his credit too often, but I'll use this as an opportunity. Good job, buddy.
He's back there he's building the simulator right now. So.
Yeah. He's putting in the hard work.
Is he building it, or is he just testing it?
Oh, he's building it first. He's building some stanchion to hold it all up. It's LED or QED technology, but it's got to be like strapped to the ceiling. So we don't know how to do that. He does.
Yeah, fantastic. Cheers, guys. I'm just going to hit stop.